What's up, everybody? It's Sam here from the Gambling Corner podcast. And before we get to your scheduled program, I'm here to tell you about Anchor. It's now easier than ever to start your own podcast. Their free app gives you everything you need to get your podcast off the ground. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast from your phone or computer. And if you're worried about getting your podcast heard, don't worry. Anchor will distribute your podcast for you, so it can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many, many more. You can make money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. Download the free Anchor app or go to Anchor FM to get started. What's up, everybody? My name's Sam, and this is the Gambling Corner, brought to you by Fat Lad Sports. Today is Wednesday, March the 10th, and on today's show we're going to go over the Europa League round of 16 first leg ties. We'll also be joined by star of the show, Mr. Liam Doe, to go over his thoughts on Thursday's action. Alright, let's get him on. Here is Liam Doe.
Hello, my friend.
How you going?
Yeah, not bad, and you?
Yeah, we're alright, mate. We're alright.
Good stuff.
Back to it.
Yeah, same again today.
Yeah. We'll take a little victory lap, I suppose, couldn't we? As this goes out, Wednesday's games haven't gone out yet, but Tuesday was alright, wasn't it?
Tuesday was good, yeah. We had another big winner, which is very nice. Games were included, spoken about on the pod.
Yep.
And there was a couple of comfortable ones for us, wasn't there? The Cambridge, your pick there. The Swansea and QPR double, very comfortable.
Yep.
And yeah, just overall, I think we had over £150 profit last night. So
yeah, it can't be bad, can it?
No, other than Juventus struggling.
Yeah, and then look for all money like they were going to go through as well, didn't it?
Well, especially with the red card. It was crazy to see how it went, really. And if you had Dortmund to win, you'd be punching your phone or whatever.
Yeah, you'd be even more pissed off.
Yeah, so luckily, in my pick for that one, I had double chance for Dortmund, so that was quite lucky there. But yeah, the other ones, the League Two games, pretty much all came in for us, bar Cheltenham being the odd one out there. All the other games we spoke about all won. So Sunderland as well in League One. So
that was a cracking pick, by the way, because I would have just thought, stuff that. I'll leave that alone.
Yeah. So it's nice when you look into these games and you think, there's not much there, and then you dig a bit deeper, you find a pick, and when it comes in as comfortable as that, you feel like it's work well done. So yeah, I was happy with that Sunderland pick, definitely.
Yeah.
Let's hopefully we can find some for Europa League.
Yeah, well, tomorrow night, early doors, we've got Ajax and Young Boys, Dynamo, Kiev and Villarreal, Man United, AC Milan and Sparta Prague and Rangers. So I had a look into the Ajax and Young Boys game.
Yep.
And 5 of Ajax's 8 European games this season, both teams have scored.
Nice. And
5 of 9 for Young Boys in Europe have been both teams to score. So 10 of 17, which is 58%, which isn't quite as high as we like to go with the trend.
No.
And then I looked into Young Boys games in Europe have yielded 18 goals that they've scored, and they've conceded 10. So you're just over 3 goals a game on an average in Young Boys games.
Yeah, nice.
Ajax is 20 goals in their 8 games. So they were 10-4, 10 against. So your average goals in Ajax and Young Boys games in Europe was 2.8.
Yeah.
Both sides are top of their respective leagues. Young boys with nothing really to play for in the Swiss league. I think they're from Switzerland anyway. I think I'm right there.
Yeah, they are. They're ridiculous amounts of points clear. 19 points clear at the moment.
Yeah, 19 points clear, and Ajax are 6 points clear with a game in hand.
Yeah.
So there was the case that both sides will be max motivated, and there's no real letdown spots. As I found potentially later on in the night's games that there might be some letdown spots. But 4 of the 5 young boys European games that have been both teams to score were over 2.5. And if both teams scored in Ajax games, 5 of 5 have gone over 2.5 as well. So you could get both teams to score and over 2.5, which was 6-5.
Nice. Which
I thought was pretty solid.
Yeah, well, at least with that, you're not sitting on a result, are you? Really?
No. And Ajax haven't got Sebastian Haller either. So
yeah, the thing with these Europa League games, you look at the 8 games, and you think you can kind of call a winner in pretty much all of them, don't you? Realistically, every matchup, you've got to lean to each side, so it's quite easy to look at them games and think, right, I'll put on my 8-team accumulator, which were the teams that I chose, all being the favourites for a reason, came out at 60-1. It's
right.
It's tough not to do that, isn't it? Really,
it is tough not to do that. But that, as you and I know, and as people may not be quite so, it might not be so obvious to everyone else. That's not long-term profitable.
No, which is obviously what we're trying. But through these games, instead of doing your 8-team ACA or whatever, I think there's quite a lot to go at with doubles and trebles, because then you're not obviously if you got your 8-team ACA, one team draws or loses, that's it, it's done. Whereas with the trebles, you've got obviously shorter odds, but more of a chance of it coming in. And with this Ajax young boys game, obviously Ajax being favourites, being at home and being a bit more renowned in Europe, aren't they? They're obviously a much bigger club. I do like to lean towards Ajax to win this game. Obviously, in the Champions League, they had a fairly tough group, which they didn't disrespect themselves at all in. They had 3 1-0 losses, obviously twice against Liverpool and once against Atalanta. And then they drew 2-2 at Atalanta and then beat Midtjylland twice. Didn't qualify through the group. And then they came into the Europa League, had Lille, which was quite a tough tie, really. Beat them 2-1 home and away. And being unbeaten in 13 domestically. I did like to look towards them just because I know young boys have been good in Europe. But when they beat Leverkusen in their round of 32 games, 4-3 and 2-0, which is a very good result, really, considering.
Yeah.
During the league, they struggled. During the group stages, they played Roma twice, lost to Roma twice. And then they played CSKA Sofia, which you wouldn't really count as too hard of a game, and Cluj, similar again, not the best opposition. So considering they beat Leverkusen, good wins, but struggled against the bigger sides in Roma, I like to look towards Ajax just because they done well in the Champions League against Liverpool and Atalanta. And obviously it's hard to go against that home side in this kind of matchup, I think.
Yeah, definitely.
But yeah, like you said with your picks, at least if young boys do turn up, it's just hard to judge them with their league, really, isn't it? 19 points clear. Yeah. It's the Swiss league at the end of the day, isn't it? It's hard to judge being 19 points clear in that league compared to the Dutch league. It's hard to go off, which is why it's hard to make picks sometimes in these. But if they turn up with your pick, it's good because they can get the goals and you're both teams to score and over 2.5 come in rather than waiting for Ajax and hoping Ajax win. And if young boys turn up, you're kicking yourself in the foot.
Yeah.
So yeah, I do like your pick at over even money, definitely.
So then we go on to Dynamo Kiev and Villarreal. Now, I spoke to you earlier on about, didn't I, about this hypothetical.
Yes.
Now, currently I think I only found it on Bet365, and I checked most others on to qualify.
Yep.
So we have Villarreal to qualify at the moment are 1-8.
Yeah.
So my reasoning for mentioning that is because Unai Emery has had 28 Europa League knockout ties, and his side has gone through 25 times of those 28 ties. So my feelings were that this is Dynamo Kiev's real chance to stake a claim in the tie.
Yeah.
So basically what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping for a 0-0 draw, or Dynamo Kiev to win, or and win by without Villarreal scoring, or 2-1 or 3-1 or something like that, so that then we can hammer the to qualify market when it comes out for the second leg, because of that Unai Emery trend. And obviously he's quite well known as being a Europa League manager.
Yes, yeah, he's obviously under Sevilla, won it 3 years in a row, didn't they?
Yeah.
So he's obviously got the caliber to do that. But yeah, for the home result there, I think you've got a good case for that to actually come in to then play on Villarreal, because at the moment, considering Villarreal are strong favourites in this, I looked into their recent form, and they haven't won in 8, but they are unbeaten in Europe. So sometimes people tend to look towards the Europe just because you can't tend to compare the leagues. Obviously, the Spanish league is a fairly good league. They haven't managed to get a win in their last 8 league games. And then you look into the European group, which they're unbeaten in Europe. They had Sivasspor, Karabag, and Tel Aviv in their group. So you'd like to think you'd come through unbeaten in that. And then in the round of 32, they played RB Salzburg, which is a good enough win, but they haven't played too many high caliber teams, which would explain them being unbeaten in the Europa League so far. And I'd look towards more the recent form and them struggling in the league. And then you look on the other side, Kiev domestically obviously unbeaten in 8, but that's hard to judge really. They beat Bruges in the round of 32, and obviously Champions League they had a really tough group with Juve and Barca in it, so it's hard to judge them off their European record this season. So I think for your Villarreal bet, I could see them potentially losing by 1 or 2, or the draw at home. I wouldn't like to play on Villarreal, even though they are quite strong favourites, unless it's double chance. So I think your theory there of them potentially losing or drawing at home and then putting money on Villarreal to qualify would be quite a good one there. I feel like that could happen.
Yeah, I like that one myself. It was a pure play on Unai Emery.
Yeah, he knows how to get it done in this competition, doesn't he?
Yeah, and also it's never easy for teams to go to Ukraine. It's a fucking long way for travel on a Thursday night as well. So that kind of I thought added to my case of maybe I could see a scenario where Dynamo Kiev win this game at home, because they're gonna then have to go to Spain. I thought it was their best chance to get anything out of it.
Are they still going to Spain, or is it still neutral? Just out of...
that's a good question, but this one's in Kiev, isn't it? So, yes, that's a good point. We'll have to look at that for the next time. That might have actually put a spanner in our works. I never even considered that.
I'm not 100% sure if they are or if they're not, to be honest, but I still like the thinking there behind Unai Emery, and I don't think I'd have a play on this particular leg, because Villarreal being favourites, they're obviously favourites for a reason, but just going off that form in the league, I don't think they warrant being as heavy favourites as what they are at the moment. But yeah, that's definitely something to look at in the second leg, and if it goes with Kiev in the first leg, that could be very decent odds as well, which would help us a lot.
Yeah, it's more of a what
if
pick.
That may be one of those future picks to look out for, definitely. And then Slavia Prague Rangers, another early kickoff. I looked into that one a little bit, and it's tough to compare these because they've been in the same competition, yes, but when you kind of compare leagues and stuff like that, it's almost impossible. But Slavia Prague are still unbeaten in the Czech League, and they're unbeaten at home in all competitions. So that includes the Europa League and the Czech Cups, however much you want to speak about that or not. But notable home wins in the Europa League. They've beaten Leverkusen at home, they've beaten Nice at home, and they've beaten Leicester at home. Rangers have just won the league, obviously. That's pretty well known of now. They've only lost one in all competitions, being against St Mirren in the Scottish League Cup. They're unbeaten in the Europa League, but against average competition, I would say. So they beat Standard Liège twice, and Standard Liège are having a poor season. They're 12th in the Belgian league. They beat Lech Poznan twice. They're 6th in the Polish league. They beat Antwerp in the round of 32 twice. They're 2nd in the Belgian league, and they drew twice against a bit of a tougher opposition in Benfica, who still aren't having the best of times in the Portuguese league. They're currently 4th. So they do seem to they've had an easy run, is what I'm trying to say. And when they played against a kind of better side, they drew and didn't win as comfortably as what they did against the easier ones. But one thing with Rangers, especially in the Europa League, it does promise goals.
Yeah, they've played a lot of high-scoring games.
So both teams to score comes in more times than not. But I was looking more towards over 1 goal in the game just to be a bit safer. But I do like Slavia Prague, actually, just because of that home record, unbeaten at home, all competitions. They don't tend to lose at home, and being able to beat Leverkusen, Nice and Leicester as well. Leicester being the main one, because obviously we watch the Premier League, and comparing Leicester to Rangers, if you just had that down, you'd fancy Leicester by quite a lot, I'd imagine. Rangers winning the league or not, it doesn't really come into consideration. Leicester are a better side than Rangers. So being able to not concede against Leicester and win their home tie makes me like Slavia Prague. And I think there'd be a lot of money kind of thrown towards Rangers just winning the league, and obviously a more notable side than Slavia Prague. I think a lot of money goes on them. So having a play on Slavia is 27-20 just to win the game, so it's more than even money. If you just wanted to do that, but I've gone a bit safer and gone with a double chance. So Slavia Prague will draw, and over 1 goal in the game is actually 20-23. So that's just under even money. And then if not, you could go Slavia or draw, and both teams to score, because Rangers do tend to score in these games, which is actually 11-8, which is over even money, which is quite good as well. So I like leaning towards Slavia Prague in this. Potential letdown spot for Rangers. You don't know how much they've celebrated that 55th title being the case. I think they would have preferred to win it at Celtic at the weekend, but from the photos and Stevie G sliding about in the changing room, etc., seemed like they celebrated it. So potentially after their trip to the Czech Republic, are they going to be 100% up for it? Or are they thinking, try get out there with a draw or a single goal loss and then take it back to the Ibrox?
Yeah, it's definitely... It all signs point to letdown spot, don't they?
I like... even with just a Slavia draw, that's 4-11. So you're still getting quite a lot of value there, considering that's a double chance. But just looking at all things considering, I do lean towards Slavia Prague, which is the main thing I got out of that game. And then the other game I looked into with more detail was obviously the Man United AC Milan game. This should be the final, really, shouldn't it? It's a bit disrespectful that it's the round of 16 rather than the Europa League final, I think. And then you look at the odds, and I thought, why are the odds like this? United 8-13 on, AC Milan 9-2, and then you look into it, and I think that's due to Milan's injuries. Ibrahimovic out, Rebic, Mandzukic, Çalhanoğlu, the left back Theo Hernandez, all set to miss these games. And I also had a thought: do AC Milan prioritise the league? They're 6 points off Inter Milan, so they're not as close, but they're closer than what they usually are. So Juventus are obviously the big boys in Italy for the last however many seasons, and they seem to run away with it. This is the closest AC Milan have been in a long, long time. Being 6 points off the top and then having Napoli at home on Sunday, have they got that in their back of their mind? So they also haven't played anyone of note in the Europa League, really. Red Star Belgrade in the knockouts being the biggest kind of obstacle, and they actually drew both of those games. They went through on away goals, so they didn't actually beat those either. And then obviously on the other side, you've got Man United, massive win against Man City. And also their round of 32 game, by the way, wasn't easy, was it, against Sociedad? And they made that look very comfortable.
No, on paper that was a tough side.
I thought they'd struggle a lot more than what they did in that. So I like the Man United play with the injuries, and I do think AC Milan potentially looking at Napoli at home on Sunday more than this, potentially. So you can get at United win and under 5 match goals at just under even money. The under 5 goals has come in last 5 United games. Under 5 goals in all but 1 Europa League games for AC Milan and all of their last 12 league games. So that seems to come in fairly comfortably. So I like that pick by itself. And then there's a potential to put in a double chance United if you want to be a bit safer, and under 5 goals, which comes out of 1-3. But if you put that in with a single winner, so we'll go on to these other games, but you could put that double chance and under 5 with a Granada home win, a Roma home win, or Spurs home win, and that comes up at even money. So if you wanted to be a bit safer with United, if you didn't think they're going to be too comfortable against AC Milan, you can always put the double chance and under 5 with one of those teams to win for even money.
Yeah, the AC Milan are definitely, they're not the same side without those players,
exactly.
Especially the attackers.
So I think I can obviously see. You look at the odds and you're thinking, God bloody hell, this should be a tight game. And then you look into the injuries and you can kind of see why the bookies are playing it safe with Man U as a fairly strong home favourite.
Yeah, I also didn't expect AC Milan to be so long.
No.
In the odds.
9-2.
What are they, 7-2, 9-2, something like that. 9-2.
Yeah, I think it's obviously due to them injuries. I don't think there's going to be too many goals in the game. If there are, it's going to go United's way. I can't see AC Milan being too much of a threat.
No, I would like to know the last time that AC
exactly.
Milan
That would be a long time ago.
Yeah, so that's it for the early ones.
8 o'clock kickoffs.
Yeah, now I had a look at Granada and Molde, or however you say it. I didn't realise that their domestic season actually finished in October.
That's what I've got written down as well. Got Molde 4 games this year, calendar year.
Yeah, and they haven't played since
that was their last Europa League game.
Like,
was their last 2 fixtures. Yeah, four games this year. Their season actually starts in April.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, April 5th. Yeah, I'd written that down as well.
That's something to get at, definitely. And I think the bookies have seen that a mile off, haven't they, with the odds on this one?
Yeah, my thing with it was that might actually there might actually be less disparity between the two sides because of that. Because in theory, Mulder will be fresh as daisies. Yeah. They'll have had plenty of time to prepare for it. And when I looked into it, there's been 28 goals in Mulder's European ties this season. They're bang on 14 and 14. So they're averaging 1 3/4 goals a game, but their games actually average 3.5 goals a game. So if you like that, so from that theory, with Granada being so frugal in front of goal, they've scored 9 goals in their 8 games, and conceded only 5. I also thought, again, similar to the Dynamo Kiev take, that this represents a great chance for Mulder to be in the tie going back to their place. Because if they can nick an away goal and they lose 3-1, they've then got 2 weeks to rest, recover, prepare for the next, or a week, to rest, recover and regroup for the next round. So I liked the fact that they've scored a lot of goals, and then you can get on Mulder just to score 1 or more goal.
Yeah,
was 4-6. So I like that purely because there seems to be a lot of goals in their game, and that, they score as many as they concede, and with Granada they're going nowhere in the league.
This is what I was thinking. The only thing going against Mulder here, the Granada don't have anything to play for in the league. They're very comfortable mid-table, and their recent form shows it. They don't seem to be bothered at the moment. They've won 1 in their last 10, drawn a few. Not the greatest form, but they've had some tough games in that, including Barcelona and Atletico Madrid. So are they just got all their eggs in this basket, is what I'm thinking. Are they disinterested in the league? They're not going to go up, they're not going to go down. Obviously not going to go up because that's the highest league. They're not going to get in the Europa League spots or the Champions League spots, and they're definitely not going to go down. So are all their eggs in this basket, thinking, right, we need a really good run in this Europa League because that's the last thing we've got going for us this season?
Yeah, there was that. I'd also written that my working theory was that Granada should win the game. But I wanted to try and find a way that I could get at something with value in it for Mulder, because they're 4-9 or something like that.
Yeah, so the only way you play Granada is obviously, like we said, in them accumulators or trebles, which I still like, and I've got them in one of my potential doubles for them. But yeah, still getting at Mulder just to score a goal is not bad at all at 4-6, is it?
No, because then I as I was saying earlier on about Dynamo Zagreb and Villarreal.
Kiev.
Sorry, not Dynamo Zagreb. That's later. They're playing Tottenham. So we'll scratch that. I'll scratch that because I have a double that is linked to that Tottenham game with the Mulder one. So scratch that. I've got my Dynamos mixed up.
There's not too much to go off because, like we said earlier, Mulder, with their 4 games this year, it's either going to go one way or the other. Is it going to almost be like a pre-season game for them? It's a tough one to kind of call. I do like Granada just with the fact that I think their season's over, other than the Europa League. And more playing against Mulder. I'm not. It's a tough one to call. I think Granada win the home leg, though.
Yeah, definitely. As I say, that was my working theory. I think Granada will win, but let me try and find something with some value on the other side and see how we go. And then there is Olympiacos.
I don't have anything
else. If you've got nothing else on that game. Okay, okay. So Olympiacos scored 2 goals in their Champions League group. They won 1 group game, and they only scored against Marseille. So they won 1-0 against Marseille, and they lost 2-1 against Marseille. The other sides they drew blanks against. They then scored 5 in their 2 games, conceding 4 in the PSV round of 32 tie in the Europa League. So it's been a total, hold on, let me do that. 7 goals they've scored in 8 games, which led me to think that there would be something in it for Arsenal, because Arsenal are actually a very good price at 19 to 20. And the fact that they aren't particularly potent in front of goal, my working theory was Arsenal will win. I'd like to try and incorporate something to do with Olympiacos to see if I can find any value. Because if I just go, Arsenal will win.
Well, no, it's one of those for the Yakkers, but if you just put it as a single, there's no point really, is it? Well, like you said, there's a bit of value there, but you want something else with it, really.
Yeah, so as I looked into it, Arsenal had scored 14 goals and conceded 7. So my worry are Arsenal. This is all based on where Arsenal are out of the cup, aren't they?
Of the FA Cup, yeah.
Yeah, because they're not going to qualify for Europe through a league position. They also can't qualify for Europe through the FA Cup this year. So all their eggs, essentially, as we said in the last game, are in this basket. So, again, I fancied Arsenal to win to 0, which was 5-2. Just purely based on the fact that Arsenal seem to score a lot of goals in Europe, and Olympiacos are so gun shy in front of goal. There wasn't an awful lot to go in that game, but if I had to pick something, it was Arsenal.
Yeah, it's a tough one to go at. I do like the look of Arsenal at the moment, just as a neutral. Obviously, a good win away against Leicester, and they seem to batter Burnley, to be honest. In their last game, I think they look a little bit more solid at the back, which helps towards your case of a win to 0. The only other thing I think of is Arsenal maybe double chance and over on the goals, just going off more Arsenal goals than anything. Arsenal to win and over 2 Arsenal goals or something like that, because looking at their score lines at the moment, 2-1 away at Rapid Vienna, 3-0 at home to Dundalk, 4-1 against Molde, 3-0 away at Molde, 4-1 Rapid Vienna, 4-2 away at Dundalk, 1-1 Benfica, 3-2 against Benfica. So they do seem to score goals when it comes to the Europa League. So maybe a play on Arsenal winning over 2 goals for them or something like that. But
my only worry about that Arsenal was they've got Spurs on Sunday.
If it was anyone else, like we said, the league.
That was my only worry.
If it was anyone else, I don't think they'd be looking too much. But being a North London derby, they're obviously not going to discredit that, are they?
Yeah, that was my only worry about that Arsenal.
Also, didn't they get knocked out by Olympiacos last year? So potential maybe revenge game you could call it. But yeah, it's a tough one to go off. I do like the price with Arsenal, and putting them in a treble or something like that. There's definitely potential.
Yeah, I agree. Now, this Roma-Shakhtar game, right? Shakhtar are one of the hardest teams I think I've ever had to try and handicap. It's just ridiculous. It's ridiculous, right? So I wrote this down, right, and see if we can make anything out of this. Shakhtar have won 4 of their last 6, but only 1 of their last 3. there have been 4 red cards in those games, 3 against and 1 for. And they've only scored 11 goals in 11. So I was like, where the fuck do you start with that? They don't score goals. They've been winning 1-0 against no one. There's been red cards, and then I went and looked at their Champions League stats, and there were 17 goals in the Champions League group games. So your average is just under 3.
Yeah.
In the 6 Champions League games, right? They scored 5 goals. They then beat Maccabi Tel Aviv 3-0 in the Europa League round of 32. But in the Champions League, they beat Real Madrid twice. They lost 6-0 and 4-0 to Borussia Mönchengladbach. And 2-0 draws against Inter Milan. So I was like, where the fuck am I supposed to go with this?
Very much hit or miss.
Yeah. I was like, Jesus.
Yeah, the only thing I could look at there is playing the under for those. At the moment, they seem, if it's not Real Madrid, it's shit or bust. And then you got Roma, that they're not the most free flowing scoring side, are they? They're doing quite well in the league, but goals wise, it's similar to Shakhtar. It's a bit more cagey and almost more defensive. So there's potential to get under goals, I would have thought, if anything.
Yeah, I looked into Roma in Europe, and they're pretty rock solid, to be fair. They lost to CSK Sofia in the last group game, but they're already through. They've lost 1, drawn 1, won 6, scored 19, conceded 4. So they're pretty rock solid. So there's potential for them to absolutely batter Shakhtar based on Shakhtar. But there's also cause for it to be
it's a tough one to go
snooze fest.
I lean towards Roma being the better side here, but when you come to a bet builder like you probably looked into, where do you start with over under goals or what? It's one of those when there's not a specific trend and they're so hit or miss on the day. It's hard to find something there.
No, I just sat there for about 5 minutes going like this with my pen, smacking it against my head.
Yeah, it's a tough one. I think Roma have probably got enough defensively to shut them out. So I think under goals would be something to look at.
Yeah, but they're still they're a nice price at home.
And again, it's one of those. You keep saying about it for your ACA, if you're going to do one, you throw in Roma at home, wouldn't you, against Shakhtar, realistically?
Yeah,
tough game to go on.
There was absolutely nothing in that, to be honest, and there wasn't a lot in prices either. You know, like Roma to win and no for both teams to score was 7-4. So there was nothing really there for me to go on. And then the last game, Spurs against Dynamo Zagreb. And Dynamo Zagreb are absolutely flying in Europe. They've won 6 and drawn 2 of their 8 games. They've scored 14 and conceded 4. So I was like, Spurs are a side in form lately, as everyone who will be listening to this will know. You know, it's like Tottenham good. They have Harry Kane, Son, and Gareth Bale. Let's pick them. And that Spurs again haven't conceded an awful lot of goals lately. They're a tough one to call. The one thing that I did like is because Zagreb were going so well in Europe. And obviously domestically as well. I think Dynamo Zagreb really have to get an away goal. So that was the other part of my double with Mulder. I had Mulder and Dynamo Zagreb to score 1 or more goals, and that was 6-4. just purely because I feel like they'll have to try and keep pace with Tottenham, or at least keep it close and take something back to Zagreb, because in essence, a 0-0 draw,
the only thing
isn't
I can
ideal for them.
Go against Zagreb with here. Obviously, you said about their good European record this season. I just looked at the teams they've played. So you've got, in their group, they had Feyenoord, who are 5th in the Dutch league, not doing very well for their standards. CSKA 2nd in the Russian league. Take that what you will. They beat Krasnodar or Krasnodar in their round of 32 games, who are actually 9th in the Russian league. And then their other group game was actually Wolfsberger, the team that Spurs absolutely battered. So going more on that, they beat Wolfsberger 3-0 and 1-0. And obviously Spurs battered them and treated it like a friendly and could have had more. So just comparing the teams that they've played against each other, I do obviously fancy Spurs with their eye test at the moment. Won their last 3 fairly comfortably. Seem to be quite solid at home anyway, don't they? Just losing against Leicester and not Leicester, Liverpool and Chelsea. They did lose against Leicester as well, actually, but recently at home, obviously very good. They've looked good in their games recently as well, so I think there's obviously going to be a lot of money chucked on Spurs. But that's just more going off the fact that Zagreb actually haven't played anyone any decent.
Yeah, I agree. I just like the fact that they'd scored a lot of goals, and I feel like they're going to have to score at some stage, even if Spurs are 3-0 up. Zagreb are to stay in the tie. Zagreb need a goal, I think, away from home. So that was why I like that. It's something to go off
when you don't actually need to look at the result in the game, isn't it? You could have a 1-1 in Granada, Molde, Spurs, Zagreb. Most people are going to be fuming because they've got them both in their accumulator, where you'd be celebrating at the fact there's 2 1-1 draws because both your underdogs have scored. So it's one of those that you could kind of have a play on as well as your accumulator, and you could have something that had come in when your ACA hasn't. So there's potential there. But just looking at these games in general, I think it's accumulator heaven. But because you look at the sides, and I've looked into all of these games, and the favourites have got a very strong case, bar Villarreal, to go and all fairly comfortably win these games, the favourites. But it's just looking at it and then thinking, odds are one of those is going to let you down. It's just where it comes, which is why I lean more towards doing a couple of doubles and a treble and something like that. It's just kind of picking which teams you'd prefer, really. So at the moment, I've gone for a Spurs Granada double, which somehow was just over even money. Yeah, so I like that. That's 1.02 to 1 at the moment. So I've put some money on that today because I think, like I said, there's going to be money thrown on Spurs and Granada when people put their bets on after tonight, when they've realised, Europa League tonight. Yes. I'll put my money on. All these favourites are going to go down in price and you're going to get worse money. I like the Slavia Prague one at home to Rangers a lot. And then, I probably wouldn't. I'm not going to bother putting Villarreal in my picks for now. That's one that we're going to look at maybe next week, depending on this week's result. But other than that, there's a strong case for you to put on the sixfold. It's just whether you want to be that ballsy, or if you want to be safer and try to do what we're kind of trying to do, which is make profit every kind of day at the moment, because there's football every day. I think a double or a treble where you can double your money, etc., is the way to go there.
I'll be honest with you, I knew there was a reason we hadn't handicapped any Europa League games. That's by far the hardest research session I have done.
It's just tough to go off. Obviously,
the podcasts that we've done thus
usually you can kind of compare the two, can't you? A lot of the time when we go into weekend games, it's just obviously domestic league, so you compare who they've played against recently, etc. But when you've got a side in the Czech league playing against someone in the Scottish league, how you can mix those two in together is beyond me.
Yeah, well, even like things like the Champions League, the sides now they're relatively comparable.
Yeah,
because they're the top of the trees, aren't they? So
it was tough, but
yeah. Oh, it was hard work.
It all depends what people want to play. Again,
but we got there in the end.
I've gone through the kind of things that I liked in there: the Slavia, Prague, and Man United at home. All these favourites have got cases, bar Villarreal, like I said, but we're not going to give out specific picks this week. We tend to save that for the weekend picks when we do our set 5. But just to take away from it, other than Villarreal and Spurs, all the favourites in these games look pretty nailed on. So if there was a time to do an accumulator or a 5-fold or a 6-fold, this would be the time. But it feels like I'd recommend doing the doubles and trebles just to double your money if you're just worried about profit. But if you're going to do an ACA a week or whatever, tonight's probably the night to do it, I'd say.
Yeah, also, as we're recording on Wednesday, the games are Thursday, but it's also worth noting that
definitely
these prices are going to change tomorrow. These home favourites will receive a lot of public money, and you're going to get worse odds for it than 100%. You would have got today.
Yeah, take of that what you will. There's a lot of ammunition to go off. A lot of us just fancying the favourites more than anything. Sam's gone with a bit more of trying to find value on the underdogs, which is a good one to play if you're going for an ACA and then want something just to back the other side just in case. That'd be a good way to go. But
that was my
thinking. We don't
usually
do Europa League. We don't usually do it for a reason, to be honest. And you can see why. We've tried to pick out as much as we can. Favourites are favourites for a reason. Being the main thing to take away from here. But hopefully you found something that you can play on.
100%.
Ready for the weekend.
Yeah, and we'll reconvene on Friday. Ready for the weekend.
Thank you very much.
Indeed.
Take care. Good luck with your bets.
Right, all right, mate. I'll speak to you. Lots and lots of ammunition there for you to make some bets for Thursday night's Europa League games. Hard work as it was. Talk to you on Friday.
Thanks for watching. Bye.